start, and I know lots of you are in line, and that's perfectly okay, but I want you to quieten down a little bit because we've got a full schedule of things to do today, and I want to make sure we have time for everything. So, you look at my notes. I want to welcome everyone here today, first off, and as you get settled with your food, I want you to feel free to fill up because we got lots of food, so everybody please eat because we got too much food. But before we get started with this town hall, I wanted to take a moment to pray together. So if you just, Lord, thank you for this meal, for the hands that prepared it, and for the love we share around this room. May the food we are eating remind us of the interconnections between all of us, everything. The universe and us, the earth and us, and all other living species and us. Bless our bodies and hearts as we enjoy this food and celebrate the community we have found between these walls. Amen. So this town hall is going to be a little different. I'm just going to talk a little bit about what we're going to do today. Hopefully everybody can hear me, even those that are in line over there. It's a little different than what we've done in the past. This is the only one we're doing in 2026. And what we thought is this is a time of transition for St. Francis, right? And that can be exciting, but it can also be a little scary. We thought a good way of approaching this moment at St. Francis would be to look back at how we started and review that, see where we are right now, and then where we might be headed as Pastor Michael takes his place at the heart of this church. So this town hall will have 3 parts to it. Part 1 is all about celebrating the past, discovering how we got here. And you know, I was not here at the founding of this church. It was founded in the late 60s. We're going to hear about that because some people are still here from that time. And some of you I see here today. And so what we did is Paula talked to a lot of the elders. Paula Van Ness talked to a lot of the elders and heard the stories. And she went back and interviewed Frank, actually, who's the first minister at this church, and spent some time researching the beginnings and put together a program for us to see today to reveal how this church began. Then in part 2, we're going to take a look at where we are right now. And that we're going to do by celebrating what God has been doing through this church by sharing stories about the work that happens in this congregation. So then we'll take a break. We'll probably be at the halfway point by then. And then we move into part 3 of this town hall. And you're all going to love part 3, so stick around for it. I have to tell you, I was impressed when I told Pastor Michael what we had planned. I told him what we wanted to do, and he agreed instantly. In fact, he said, I like to be spontaneous. So you know what we're going to do? He has no idea what we're going to ask him, but Joan Curry volunteered to be our interviewer, and we're going to have a little segment. She's going to manifest her inner Oprah or her inner Ellen DeGeneres, and we're going to have just a little conversation and find out who Pastor Michael really is. Okay, so without further delay, I want to turn it over to Paula Van Ness. So how did this whole thing begin?
In 1967, the church we were and the church we are becoming. 1967, some of us remember it well. Others in this room weren't even born yet. But 1967 is more than the year that St. Francis was founded. It was a year when America was changing, sometimes painfully, sometimes hopefully, and when people of faith were asking some very difficult questions about what it meant to follow Jesus in a changing world. So we're going to take a look at the world into which St. Francis was born.
Resulted in a humanitarian crisis and significant loss of life. China's Cultural Revolution. In 1967, China was in the throes of the Cultural Revolution, a socio-political movement initiated by Mao Zedong. Aimed at preserving true communist ideology by purging remnants of capitalist and traditional elements from Chinese society, the movement led to widespread chaos, persecution of intellectuals, and significant disruptions in the country's education, industry, and healthcare systems. The UK's application to join the EEC. The United Kingdom made a significant move by applying for membership in the European Economic Community, or EEC, now the European Union, in 1967. Although this initial application was unsuccessful, it marked the beginning of the UK's complex relationship with European integration, reflecting the changing nature of European politics and economies after World War II. Major U.S. events: the Detroit riots. The Detroit riots of July 1967 stood as one of the most significant and violent expressions of civil unrest in the country. The 5-day riot began with a police raid on an unlicensed bar in a predominantly African-American neighborhood. The incident quickly escalated into widespread violence, looting, and arson. The National Guard and federal troops were called in, resulting in tragic loss of life and extensive property damage. Anti-Vietnam War protests. 67 also saw an intensification of the anti-Vietnam War movement. Massive protests and demonstrations were held across the country, including the March on the Pentagon in October, where tens of thousands of protesters gathered to express their opposition to the war. Thurgood Marshall's Supreme Court appointment. A landmark event in 67 was the appointment of Thurgood Marshall to the Supreme Court, making him the first African American to serve on the highest court in the land. Marshall's appointment was not only a significant achievement in terms of racial equality, but also brought a unique perspective to the court. He had previously argued and won the landmark Brown versus Board of Education case, which played a pivotal role in the desegregation of public schools in America. The Apollo 1 tragedy. In a tragic setback for the U.S. space program, Apollo 1 ended in disaster when a fire broke out during a pre-launch test, killing all 3 astronauts aboard. This incident in January of 1967 led to major design and safety revisions in the Apollo program, ultimately contributing to the success of later missions, including the historic Apollo 11 moon landing in 1969. Popular music awards and dances. The music scene in 1967 was vibrant and revolutionary, with a range of genres gaining popularity. The Beatles' album Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band not only topped charts worldwide, but also won 4 Grammys, including Album of the Year. The album's experimental approach to music and its iconic cover art left an indelible mark on the industry. The Monterey Pop Festival became a historic event, introducing future legends like Jimi Hendrix, whose guitar-burning performance became legendary, and Janis Joplin with her raw, powerful vocals. The festival is often seen as a precursor to the larger Woodstock Festival 2 years later. Other notable musicians and songs from 1967 include Aretha Franklin's Respect, which became an anthem for both the civil rights and feminist movements. The year also saw the rise of psychedelic rock and soul music, with artists like Pink Floyd, The Doors, and Otis Redding gaining prominence. Dance trends were heavily influenced by the music, with dances like the Tighten Up and the Funky Chicken becoming popular in clubs and social gatherings. Pop culture events, movies, actors, and TV shows. In cinema, 1967 was a year of innovation and change. The Graduate, directed by Mike Nichols and starring Dustin Hoffman, broke new ground with its narrative style and became a cultural phenomenon. Bonnie and Clyde, starring Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway, redefined the crime genre and is considered a landmark film in American cinema. Other notable films released this year include Cool Hand Luke and In the Heat of the Night, which addressed social issues of the time. In television, The Carol Burnett Show debuted, bringing a new form of sketch comedy to TV screens. This year also saw the premiere of other iconic shows like Ironside and Mannix. Famous actors born in 1967 who would later become major stars include Julia Roberts, known for her roles in Pretty Woman, and Erin Brockovich, as well as Vin Diesel, famous for the Fast and Furious series. Fashion trends. Fashion in 1967 reflected the era's rebellious and free-spirited nature. The hippie movement popularized bell-bottom jeans, tie-dye shirts, and peasant blouses. Floral prints, maxi dresses, and psychedelic patterns were also in vogue, inspired by the burgeoning psychedelic rock scene. Headbands and peace symbol jewelry became symbols of the counterculture movement. Miniskirts, popularized by designers like Mary Quant and André Courrèges, became shorter, reflecting the era's progressive attitudes towards female fashion and empowerment. Common toys. The toy industry in '67 saw the introduction of several toys that would become timeless favorites. Light-Bright, an innovative toy that allowed children to create glowing pictures with colored pegs, was a hit. Twister, another popular game introduced earlier but gaining widespread popularity by 1967, was known for its social and interactive gameplay. Kerplunk, a game of skill and luck involving the careful removal of sticks to avoid dropping marbles, also became popular. Cost of common goods. The economic landscape of 1967 shows a stark contrast to modern prices. A gallon of gas cost around 33 cents and a loaf of bread priced at 22 cents. Milk was approximately $1.03 per gallon, and the average price of a new home was about $24,600, a fraction of today's housing costs. The price of a new car was around $27.50, indicative of the era's economic condition. It's clear '67 was a time of extraordinary change, innovation, and cultural shifts. Were you there to witness any of these historic events?
Okay, so as we reminisce about some of those times, 1967, our country and a church nationwide in transition. You know, 1967 is a particularly powerful year to use as our starting point because the U.S. was really in the midst of an enormous social and cultural upheaval. Civil rights, America had passed the Civil Rights Act only 3 years earlier, and the Voting Rights Act just 2 years earlier. But racial injustice, discrimination, poverty, and economic inequality remained deeply entrenched. And Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was increasingly connecting racial justice with economic justice and speaking out against the Vietnam War. Speaking of Vietnam, the war was dividing the country. Young people were protesting, clergy and religious communities were questioning the morality of the war, and more people of faith were asking whether their faith required them to challenge government and social institutions when they believed those institutions were causing harm. Now, as far as women's rights go, the women's movement was gaining momentum, challenging assumptions about women's roles in the workplace, family, education, and public life. The National Organization for Women had just been founded 1 year earlier. LGBTQIA+, and we didn't call them that then, plus people lived largely in the shadows. Same-sex relationships were criminalized in much of the country. Homosexuality was classified as a mental disorder, and LGBTQIA+ people faced discrimination in employment, housing, and virtually every aspect of public life. Stonewall was still 2 years away. And religion was changing too. Progressive Christians were asking a fundamental question. Is the church simply a place where people come to worship, or is it also called to engage the great justice issues of its time? That was the world in which St. Francis was born. So let's spend a few minutes on some of the St. Francis history you may or may not know. And I want to correct one thing. It was Ellie who talked to Frank Williams and got the scoop, not me. In fact, we had a team of people working on this, and at the end I want to acknowledge their work on it. There's a story about Frank Williams, our founding pastor, that he came to Tucson that some of us may have imagined. Frank rode into town on a horse, announcing, "I am here to start a new church." And somehow, St. Francis happened. But really, the real story is actually better than that. Back in the 1960s, our mother church, then just Methodist, wanted to start a new congregation here in Tucson. They identified the Swan and River property as a possibility, and they were remarkably persistent in trying to acquire it. They made multiple offers to Stan and Neva Garrett. the retired couple who had raised their children on this property. And eventually, when the offer got high enough, they accepted the church's substantial offer, bought the house across the street, and moved in. And the mother church didn't just buy the property. They found Frank Williams and appointed him, who at the time was in Glendale, California. And they also paid Frank's salary for 3 years. So that's how the St. Francis experiment really began. But there was one little problem. The conference had already chosen a name for us, Skyline Methodist. The founding pastor and the early people helping to start the church didn't like it. So the first sign, in a little bit of a rebellion, out on River Road said, "A church in the foothills to serve all people." No Skyline mentioned there. Officially, though, we were still Skyline Methodist. And the first service was held on October 1st, 1967, in what had been the living room and dining room of the farmhouse. Several area churches chipped in and provided folding chairs and hymnals. Mrs. Garrett, actually the former resident of that home, donated a piano. And at first, the service was fairly traditional Methodist worship, but not for long. Over the next several months and years, St. Francis began experimenting. Guitar music was added. Folk music became a part of worship. The congregation brought in guest musicians and eventually developed a choir. Those traditional hymnals that had been given to us were eventually put away in favor of something called the New Wine Songbook. Some of you might remember New Wine. Members of the congregation participated in worship, in planning worship and executing worship from the very beginning. And Frank remembers a conference youth trip to San Francisco as particularly instrumental and life-changing when they went to Glide Memorial Church and got inspired. Some of us have been there and we know what that inspiration can be like. The experimentation continued with more folk music, guitars, theatrical presentations, and different approaches to worship. Frank remembers it becoming less Methodist to the point that both Methodists and non-Methodists wondered, what kind of a church were we? And the community outside the church noticed too. Newspaper stories wrote about our difference. It wasn't unusual for St. Francis to be called the hippie church with its long-haired preacher, and it wasn't always easy. We didn't grow as quickly as the conference wanted, and at one point there was even discussion about closing the church. But it kept going. And in 1975, St. Francis moved into what we now call the community hall, and the congregation continued to grow. And by 1976, there were 2 services with about 200 people regularly attending each. Now, Frank left in January 1977, and Dick George served as transitional pastor for 3 difficult years, followed then by David Wilkinson, who you know was here for more than 30, and who continued the spirit of experimentation, and the church continued to grow. So then David was followed by our beloved Jim Wiltbank, then Mike Wilkinson, and now breaking with the W transition of last name, we have our 6th pastor, unless you're changing your name, Pastor Michael Long. And along the way, we've had a number of associate pastors, including Raleigh Loomis, whom many of you remember fondly and are still in touch with through Facebook. And our congregation has included and continues to include a remarkable number of retired pastors and those working in other areas, such as being a chaplain. Huh, Mary? So we have had pastors joining us and being a part of our congregation from denominations that were United Methodist, but also far beyond United Methodist. But perhaps more important than reciting the dates and the names is this: what is it that characterized those early St. Francis people? This is how Frank has described them, us. Open, willing to take risks, eager for change, willing to challenge tradition, interested in differences, liberal in their thinking, intellectually curious, challenging of ideas, and people who genuinely enjoyed each other. Sound familiar? I think so. I hope so. Because if that was part of the DNA of St. Francis in 1967, then I think it's still part of our DNA today. And there's one more important detail. In December of 1967, so just before that year ended, the congregation was successful in finally changing the name. So they, in the spirit of partnership, when there was a division, there were two leading candidate names, they combined the two that they liked, and we got from the church in the foothills and St. Francis Church, the Church of St. Francis in the foothills, comma, United Methodist. Now look at how much has changed in the more than 50 years. We've realized it's almost 60 since St. Francis was founded. Civil rights has become a continuing struggle for racial justice and equity. Women's equality has expanded into broader conversations about gender equity. Gay liberation has become the continuing struggle for LGBTQIA+ equality and inclusion. Anti-war activism has become a broader commitment to peace and nonviolence. Poverty programs have evolved into a deeper understanding of systemic economic justice. Disability rights have expanded our understanding of inclusion and accessibility. And environmental awareness has become creation care and climate justice. And some barriers that seemed immovable in 1967 have fallen dramatically. Same-sex relationships are now legally recognized nationwide through marriage. LGBTQIA+ people can serve openly in many professions and religious communities. Women hold positions of leadership that would have been unusual or even impossible in 1967. Racial discrimination is illegal. Disability rights and accessibility are protected in ways that they were not then. The language has changed, the challenges have changed, but the underlying question hasn't. What does faithfulness require now? And I think that may be the most important connection for us. The lesson of 1967 isn't simply, look how far we've come. It is also a reminder that every generation gets its own version of the same question. Who is being left out? Who is being harmed? Whose voice is not being heard? And perhaps most importantly, what does our faith require us to do about it? The people who founded St. Francis couldn't have known what the next 50, 60 years would bring. They couldn't have anticipated all the changes in the culture, our church, our understanding of justice. But they were willing to experiment. They were willing to challenge convention. They were willing to take risks, and they were willing to imagine that church could be something different. So as we look toward the next 50, 60 years, perhaps our challenge is not to create 1967, it's to bring the same courage and curiosity to the questions of our time. What does it mean to be progressive now? What does it mean to be a church committed to justice now? And ultimately, what might faithfulness require of St. Francis in the next 50 years? Those are the questions worth carrying forward. And I want to thank June Webb-Vinieri and Ellie Vogt and Tricia George and Frank Williams for helping to look historically at where we've been and help understand the context of why that got us to where we are today. So please carry the questions forward. What might faithfulness require of us in the next few years? And thank you.
Thank you, Paula. That was excellent. Now that we understand the past, let's take a look at the present moment by hearing from various leaders of the church and tell us why they do the work they do here at St. Francis. So what we did is we instructed ministry leaders to tell a personal story. how they came to do this work, what this work means to them, why they do it, why it's important, and if there are any opportunities for new members to join them. So I'm going to start off this part of the town hall by not introducing someone, by changing hats, because I also am the chair of the welcome team. So speaking as the welcome team, why welcome team? Well, if I really want to get personal here, I have to say, yeah, this might be shocking to you, but I wasn't the most popular girl in school. I was something of a nerd, a bit of a geek. I was a little girl in 3rd grade that was really good at math. And I spent way too much time hanging out with librarians. I was a teacher's pet. And also, don't feel sorry for me. I mean, this was really sad, though. Honestly, I did feel rejected. I was the last kid chosen to be on a team. I was, so it was painful. But God gave me prepared a nest for me. And I had 2 parents that told me I was valuable and that I was perfect just the way I was. And I had siblings that, well, at least tolerated me. They acted like they liked me. They couldn't leave me out because I lived there. And so I was blessed, but I did sometimes feel like I didn't fit in. Later in life, when I came out with the LGBTQ, I'm one of those people that embraces the Q. Because I always felt queer. I felt like I didn't fit in. I felt like, so that word is meaningful to me, and I don't reject. Some people find that word offensive. I don't. I love it. I'm queer. Always was, always will be. And, but here we are. We're talking about the welcome team. So human beings make friendship groups, right? So we can call them cliques if we want to be critical. But the truth is that that's just human nature. It's what we do. It's not people being mean. And just like Anne Frank, I do believe in the inherent goodness of human beings. So what the welcome team does, is those are the people who are always on the lookout for people that can't find a familiar face. Because, right, that's what we do. We come to church, we look for a familiar face. It's just human, it's natural. We want to find, does anybody know me? Ah, there's a person, I feel safe now. Well, imagine being the first time you ever came here. What hurts me is to hear someone say that they left the church because they didn't feel welcome. I hate that. And then there's the other side of it. The welcome team are just the friendliest people you could imagine. They all like people, right? So we've got about 16 of the friendliest people you'll ever meet. We do the ushering, we do the greeting outside the church, we have the reception area we're trying to change into something nicer. I just love working with those people, and that's. And the other thing is that I don't have to do a lot as the chair. It's so easy for me because Ramona McHenry does all the scheduling wherever she is in here. She does all the work, and Seth Allen organizes the ushers and has a training program for ushers. So really, I just have to show up at meetings and schedule things and send out minutes once in a while. So I don't have to do a lot. And it's a great job, and it doesn't feel like a job because it's fun. Well, guess what? We're just like the Marines. We're looking for a few good men. We would like more ushers. Where are you guys? Come see me, or Ramona, or Seth, actually. Seth's not here today. He had another engagement. But we could use some more. We could use more greeters, too. So you girls aren't, if there's new people that aren't in our group that are interested in joining, we are the fun team. So contact us. And now I'm going to turn it over to the next person. And I will grab a handheld mic, and I'll introduce each one. The next person up is Kate Cossey of the Green Team.
The reason I love being involved with the Green Team is that I have always felt really connected with how grateful I am for this incredibly fragile web of life that surrounds us and supports us and gives us life. And so when it came time to look for a church, I went to a source called Cool Congregations, which St. Francis is featured highly on. And, and when I saw the rain tank came onto the compass, I was like, this is definitely my church. And then after I'd been coming here a while, Barbara Iceworth was nice enough to invite me to join the Green Team, and I was thrilled to do that. Caring for creation and this delicate web of life is my way of saying thank you to God for all he's given us that surrounds us in the natural world and supports our literal lives. I always say protects oil, air, soil, and water because it's what you are made of. It's not magic dust. It's air, soil, and water. The other reason that I love being involved in creation care is that because pollution and climate chaos hits the poor and powerless first and worst. And so by caring for creation, it's my way of also responding to Matthew 25. A couple of things that we have coming up is electronic waste collection, and so I invite the whole congregation to start thinking about all their electronic waste, dead batteries. There will be a list in the September newsletter, and we'll be passing out more information about this in weekly happenings in the newsletter, so kind of keep an eye on that for a very extensive list of things to be brought on September 13th, which is then given to an organization that uses those funds for recycling and sale of those items to support youth leadership programs. Another thing we have coming up in November that you all are welcome to join in is a long worked on project to have rain basins to address the flooding problem on campus. And we'll be inviting the whole church to join in the design process in November. So again, we'll have more information about that in the newsletters and weekly happenings. I invite anyone who would like to join us. We always meet on the third Sunday after the 9:30 service in room 42. So don't feel like you have to check ahead of time. Just come on, see what we have to do. You can join it for a while, a short while, one event, or stay to work with us on us as we come up with many more future events. So thank you.
Since I don't know how to turn this on. Now I want to introduce Joy Mills of the Fine Arts Interior Design Committee.
Hi, everybody. Yes, I'm here because I wear two hats, maybe even more than that. But my first hat that I want to talk to you about is Ravenscroft Art Gallery. So years and years ago, I've been at this church for a long time, 1986 actually. That was a storage room for our center, and a gang of us cleaned up that room and made it into an art gallery. Thank goodness for Mr. Ravenscroft, who donated the money to do that. Anyway, so my heart is still in that room, and my love for that space and the transformation that it went through. So what I'm proud of, having done over a series of years, is having lots of members of our congregation bring their art and show their art through the years. And, you know, it's been a wonderful, surprising way for people to show what they do and also donate a little bit back to the church as a result of their sales. So anyway, my pride is in having that keep going all these years. And right now, we're switching from Christmas in July to the to fall scenes. They're cute little shadow boxes, if you haven't seen them. Chris has one to show. And so, yeah, and she's the one who says they make lovely gifts for stocking stuffers. So that's the ad for Ravenscroft Art Gallery. And the other hat is this brand new hat that I'm just adopting as the recorder for the ideas of how we might alter our surroundings here to better express what we want to say, who we are now, rather than who we've been, or maybe celebrate who we've been. Who knows? If anybody has any ideas, any feedback, any thoughts about how you could see how this room could maybe change from spots here and there to a more holistic, unified look of what our message wants to be, now that we have this fabulous opportunity of showing how we're not even not just reconciling anymore, but that we've actually we've broken the color barrier, and we've become, it was so big, it knocks me out, the whole idea of who we've become. So anyway, next Sunday, back at the children's stable for half an hour before pastor starts, we're going to just see who we are and sign up and figure out how we can meet and how we can actually get these ideas going. Okay, that's it.
Okay, next we have up the incomparable Judy Robinson to talk about celebration and mental health team.
Incomparable, that's pretty silly. So, celebration team, I've been on, it seems like forever, and it's always been my joy to be a part of that group. We meet at 7 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday, which is a little stretch for a few of us, but we're doing it by Zoom now that we're in this century, and but they're reluctantly in this century for me. But we have 9 or 10 people. That's quite a few people to sort out what happens on Sunday morning. So when I first came here, and we were officially members of the church in 1977, and had, well, the backstory is that I went to school with Frank's first wife. And we were 2 Judys with a third one in the same classroom. So she was Judy Kay, and the other girl I can't remember, and I refused to tell my middle name, so I stayed Judy. So I have a long history with the whole aspect of this church. But when I first started visiting here, it was like magic. I couldn't put your finger on how it happened, how Sunday mornings came together. I mean, it was like the most exciting, most vibrant place I could think of. And it took me a while to break into the celebration team because I was so mystified by how it happened. And I didn't think I was worthy, maybe, of being part of that group because they were all so creative, dancers and singers and dramatists and signers, everybody. And but when Dick George was here, I became part of that group. And it has not only been a joy, but a real stretch for me in many ways. One of my self-assigned tasks, and it's not mine alone, is finding the call to awareness readings for each Sunday that fit with what else is happening. It's great fun. It keeps me looking for new stuff, and then things occur to me, and I write them down, and now I can't find them all. Never mind, that's the way it works for me. But the reason I keep being part of that group is, well, 2 things. One is it gives me an edge. Knowing what's happening on Tuesday gives me 4 more days to think about it and prepare myself and think about what might be coming. And it just makes Sunday morning even more vibrant because I have that preliminary stuff to go with. The other thing is that Tricia mentioned how hurtful it is when we hear somebody say we aren't welcoming. But what celebration often hears is somebody coming back for the 3rd time, and that's pretty much the marker. If you're here 3 times, you're done. We've got you then. And people will often then say, I found home. I really feel at home here. And that's what our aim is, and that's what we look for, to try and be as inclusive and as welcoming as we can. If you're interested in being part of the team, I'm co-chairing this year with Andy Robeson. It is challenging to get all the voices in, but if you have ideas for songs or readings, or you can give it to any of us, and we'll see when they work in. They won't be next week necessarily, but sometime soon. Or even better, if you are a writer and write something that fits St. Francis, we're also eager to have that kind of stuff. So my second hat, which is equally important in a more personal, well, both are personal for me. I'm also co-chairing the mental health team, and I inherited it from Diane Wilson, who set up the whole mental health experience here. And there's no way to follow in her footsteps. She was dynamite and had resources and experiences and all that kind of stuff that were just amazing. But I joined the team when it was first being formed because of my own personal history, and that is that my mother suffered 2 experiences in mental health institutions. One when I was 6, probably, or 7, and then again when I was a young adult. And the impact on me was not so much personal, but what I watched her go through, because the stigma about having ever been treated in an institution was that every time she went to a doctor and that piece of information came out, everything else she described was discounted. It wasn't relevant because so-and-so. So I have a heart connection with mental health and mental illness. And so our aim in that team is to try and, we can't eliminate the stigma, but we can sure work on decreasing it, especially within our family, and education, and also promoting healthy mental health for everybody, and supporting those people who are struggling at whatever time they're in. So that team also is looking for help or information or ideas, so let us know anytime. Our last 2 experiments were the Grieving and Grace experiential service that we did in on the solstice last year, which is some places called a Blue Christmas. And then in May, we had a luncheon for people who have mental health diagnoses and or their caregivers. And both of those, I hope, will become parts of who we are as we continue that work of being supportive and compassionate. Thanks.
Before we go to the next speaker, does anyone have a short question they'd like to ask of any of our speakers, Judy or Kate or Joy? If not, I'll just move on to our next speaker. That is Nancy Stevenson of the Stephen Ministries, and part of the Coalition of Caring People.
Good morning. Can everybody stand up? And I don't want you to fall asleep during my two. Can you stand up and just shake it out a little bit? If you are willing and able. Okay, because I think we have a while to go here. I'm just trying to pace myself. Thank you. So I'm, as Trish said, I'm wearing 2 hats today. The one hat is Stephen Minister. I've been a Stephen Minister for 10 years. and it's been part of St. Francis since 2008. So I'm very proud of this ministry, and we currently have 5 active ministers, and I'm very proud of their commitment, compassion, and confidentiality at St. Francis. So I'm not supposed to talk about numbers today, Tricia told me. So I'll speak about words instead. Do you know how many human emotions there are? 27. And we won't get into everybody's philosophy and so forth, but scientists have probably have been arguing about those varieties and so forth. And so since then, they've agreed and disagreed and so forth, but they've come down to narrow it down, reduce the number to just 4. So somebody shouted out 4, and you're right. Happiness, sadness, anger, and fear. So why am I telling you this? Because I want you to listen to 2 recent testaments that have been given to their Stephen ministers by care receivers, and they're on the St. Francis webpage. So I'll read the first one, and what I would like you to do is try to identify the 4 words. What were they? Happiness, sadness, anger, and fear. Testament number 1. I was grappling with a serious medical and financial crisis. My Stephen minister was such a comfort to lean on throughout. While I had supportive friends and a spouse, I didn't have to worry about putting too much stress on those relationships as I worked through my worries, decisions, and frustrations. I found my Stephen minister to be so compassionate and trustworthy. I could even share some relevant personal history that I have never shared outside of therapy. Testament number 2. With gratitude and praise, I realized the strength of Stephen ministry. My Stephen minister was perfect for me, and we related very well. My Stephen minister gave me reflections about concerns and worries that were temporal as well as spiritual. Thank you, Stephen Ministry, for being there when I needed you. Thank you, Stephen Ministry, for being there when I needed you. So instead of going on to a lot of, because I'm sure you've heard this multiple times, in the pockets in front of you or behind you in some cases is a Stephen Ministry pamphlet that you will find. We receive 50 hours of training, and if you're interested in becoming a Stephen minister, please speak to me afterwards. And my other hat. So the Coalition of Caring People is actually part of the mental health team. Where is Judy? Judy. And those 2 back there that did an awesome job, Pat and Marilyn, as the care team. And Stephen Ministry. We meet with Pastor Michael every other week, and we talk about people that are in need. We network with one another, and it's very, very important because, as Tricia said, we don't want to leave anybody out. Okay, another data point. Did you know that the former U.S. Surgeon General issued an advisory declaring that loneliness and social isolation was a public health epidemic? Yes, that report came a few years ago when they noticed that the lack of social connection carried health risks as damaging as smoking 15 cigarettes a day, and significantly raises the risk of heart disease, stroke, and dementia. And what do you think was the proposed solution? Well, of course, social connections. So let's let's talk about a secure attachment theory. I don't know if anybody knows Dr. Dan Siegel, but he's one of my favorites. He states that there are 4 elements that play a powerful role in adult relationships and spiritual growth. He actually worked with children. To be safe, 4 S's. To be safe, to be seen, to be soothed, and to feel secure. That's what we need. That's what I need. I don't know about you, but that's what I need. So to be safe, when we feel safe, we're empowered to grow. When we feel seen, we feel understood and truly accepted for who we are. To be soothed is comfort and validation provided by emotional reassurance when we're feeling distressed. And then, because of all those other 3s, we're feeling secure, and that's the result of consistent care. Why am I telling you this? Social connections. The Coalition of Caring People do not want to lose anyone. We want to keep our social connections. We want to show that we care and not to have anyone at St. Francis feel isolated. So it's more than a psychological theory. It's a blueprint for how humans thrive and develop resilience. If you have any further questions about the Stephen Ministry Program or Coalition of Caring People, you can speak to me or Pastor Michael. Thank you.
We have just a few more people to call up. Right now, I want to call up Shar to talk about children and youth programs.
Really? Who's that? Children and youth program. I do a lot more than just children and youth. You all know that. So first I want to start off with, I can't find my shoes. So if you see my shoes, if you want to work on how low your posture can go, Tuesday mornings at 10 o'clock, Mindful Movers, we'll work on that. So. Thursdays, sorry. I'm not myself today. I'm not. I know, I feel that. It's been a rough week.
But you got your shoes back.
I'm going to try to fit this in 3 minutes, but, you know. I'm not myself this week, and maybe that's a good thing. It was a tremendous week. And if you're awake to the Holy Spirit, you're going to be changed. That's what's happening. So she's deconstructing me at a rate I am uncomfortable with. Right? We've all been there. I mean, you're all too up in years to have not been there, right? So bear with me. So when I think about this year as your program coordinator, which includes a lot of different things, and sometimes it isn't even clear what I do and what I'm not supposed to do, and I've never been really good at driving in those lanes. Like, I too claim queer, especially Dr. Zeus queer. Isn't that who we are here? What I'm most proud of isn't any program. It's the way we gather. It's the way we create spaces for people of all ages to wonder and connect and serve and move and question and deepen in our spirit. What I see today in all our programming is how do we actually create a deeper and broader sense of community? not the place of here I am on my path, doing my practice, doing my thing. How are we doing it together? And this is how you have shaped me. To show up and serve. With my own gifts. Tuesday morning, I boarded a flight for my friend Taylor. She died on my descent into Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina. She was 36 years old and had 2 toddlers. And I thought, what the fuck? I did. That's exactly what I thought. Taylor and I met at the Boys and Girls Club. We both ran Boys and Girls Club, which prepared me to come back and do this job. She was the most multi-generational young person I had ever met. And up until the week she died, I would call her and go, okay, this is what I'm doing this week in Sunday school. By the way, what I do each week in Sunday school is create a Sunday school lesson for multi-generations, 0 to 100, with very few words. Thank you. Today, we're doing Fruits of Spirit, and back in the little circus that happens back there, these are gentleness monsters that Alice will figure out how they belong on the altar real soon, and it's a delight. And now that call is going to have to transcend time and space. Thank you for doing that. The light. Whew. I have to transcend that to the other realm, and I just want you. I have so many stories from this whole week, and hopefully I'll have a chance at a sermonette maybe of how those things come down. But I got in my car. The family had left, and I had chosen to stay with Taylor and anoint her body and kiss her forehead one more time. I got in my car. It is dark. It is a sauna. If you've ever been to North Carolina, it was a sauna. I got in my car, and I turned on the car, and Taylor was calling me. I'm not kidding, on my phone. And of course, it was her husband sending me pictures, right? So Spirit is calling. Yes, page 2. Good, Char. So y'all keep stretching me, and one of the biggest stretches this year has been Be the Neighbor mission trip. Shout out if you were there. Come on. What? Maya. She's back there with Tallulah. And nothing says step outside of your comfort zone quite like being post-hip replacement by just a few weeks and sleeping on a cot or the floor. Many of you are sleeping on. I had a cot. Thank you, Amy, Barrett Gufford. And the bigger stretch, even that, was to be the leader of a bunch of leaders. So fun. And one bathroom. And 12 women over 50. So what does it mean to really be a neighbor? What does it mean? Not swooping in and helping. No. But to listen, to learn, to build relationships, and to allow ourselves to be changed. That ministry continues to unfold. Don't forget, BTN next Saturday. We're going to meet. We got things to do. We got work to do. I was just proud of myself for being able to be there. Another moment came recently when I sat with some of our former youth who were part of the youth group that I ran back in 2010 to 2017, who called me and said, Mama Shar, we got to meet. Shit's going down. So we got together and we talked for 2 hours about what is a spiritual toolbox and how do I navigate this world and who is this guy in office and what did Jesus say about. I hope that group continues to meet. They are some of the loves of my life, and most of you, I think you know them. Ian Holohan, he was there, Maya and Celia, who was here this morning. and a few others. So listening. We don't always get to see the ways in which our fruits of what we plant show up, right? But occasionally we do. Sometimes we're simply tending the soil. I see that happening every day that we meet for Mindful Movers, which sounds like a frivolous thing, but those who go know that that experience extends far beyond whatever stretch you might be able to do. It is a way that we embody our faith. Before we began, I said to Pastor Michael, the reason I love hearing you speak is because you embody it. I can feel that. You can feel that. We need that right now. Can't think your way through faith. It could help. You have to breathe it. You have to move it. Even you have to create it and question it and live it. And I just have to add this. I remember walking into Jim's office day 4 of my this time back. I had worked for Jim before and was back. And I said, Jim, what do I need to do with with this youth group? And he said, really, just try to not let them die. And that really is at the heart of youth ministry, right? He was full of those wisdoms. So what's amazing is since 2017 was our last confirmation group, we will be starting a new confirmation group this year. And by the way, I know tradition, whatever, but if you need to confirm your faith, if you need to affirm your faith, join us. You can. We're going to, Maya is back. She's with Tallulah in the back, but Maya and I are talking about a new pet ministry also coming up sometime during the year with Anita, if you're here, the alchemy of journaling, labyrinth practices. But here's the thing. All of those things are wonderful. They're all wonderful. But the practice of listening is pivotal to our growth at this time as individuals and as a community. Maybe slowing down is the new do more, go more. Maybe I'll slow down programming so we can have just more time together. Sometimes we need to stop trying so hard to figure everything out and listen for where Spirit is moving us. And every once in a while, maybe we just need to dance it out. Children, youth, and families always needs volunteers. And here's the thing. I've asked for that help before, and I just want to thank Chris. Will you raise your hand, Chris? My right-hand man, womaning man, and Jamie Holohan are steadfast helpers for me. I couldn't do Sunday morning without them. But, yeah. But we're going to grow off that page, like right now. We're trying to open the nursery by, I don't know, Mike could probably tell me, or Chris, how many little ones under 5 did we have this morning? 5 toddlers. It's time. I cannot do this by myself. You're going to have to step up. I've asked for help before, and honestly, what y'all said was, no. And I love you, but you said no. That won't ride. We need you to step up and help with our children, youth, and families. We need it. We're going to grow. We are growing. We're in the midst of it. We're about a day late and $1 short. Here's the rest of the unfolding story. Right? What do you want to experience? What spiritual practice would help you? What are you curious about? What have you secretly been thinking, we should do that at St. Francis? Come find me, tell me, let's make that happen. Because sometimes my job as programs coordinator is creating programs. And sometimes it's simply listening for where the Spirit is already stirring in you. I just want to leave you with this last thought. Faithfulness, as Paula started us off with talking about faithfulness, it's not comfortable. It's usually not very easy. But one thing here at St. Francis is we got each other. Amen.
Thank you, Shar. And now I want to call Paula Van Ness back up to talk about Community Connect.
Our church has always understood that giving is about more than keeping the lights on and paying our staff. It's about whether or not our shared generosity makes possible how love leaves this building and shows up in the lives of our neighbors. For decades, this congregation has lived that out by feeding people, standing with our LGBTQIA neighbors, caring for the earth, responding to real needs in Tucson. And as our community changes and new challenges emerge, we have an opportunity to build on that very strong foundation, but in a fresh and focused way. And so that was the idea behind Community Connect, which we launched in January as a one-year pilot test. Each month, we focus on a pressing community issue, whether it's food insecurity or housing or refugee support, environmental care, and others, and partner with local organizations that are already doing that work. Our commitment is simple. We provide a monthly seed gift of at least $500 that sometimes gets augmented by members of our congregation, and then we look for ways to show up with our hands, with our voices, and our presence. Sometimes that means assembling kits or serving meals or providing things that are urgently needed. Sometimes it means learning about an issue or advocating for change. And sometimes it simply means just giving more generously and praying faithfully. Every contribution matters. And this pilot has really come to life because people have gotten involved. 20 people have been part of the Community Connect steering team. Raise your hand if you're one of them. I know we have several in the room. Yay. And I want to acknowledge Marilyn, who's been co-chairing this steering committee with me, helping to shape the program. And I'll let you know a secret. We have been making it up as we've gone along. And as we have gone along, teams of 2 and 3 people have helped to, on each issue, identify and work with our nonprofit partners each month. And we've gotten to know some great people in the Tucson community. And our congregation has responded beautifully. We've added to that $500 monthly gift and provided things our partners specifically requested, like nearly 900 pairs of new socks for Casa Maria clients, and bags of toiletries and hygiene products for Sister Jose. So this has become more than a financial commitment. It's helping us learn more about the challenges facing our community, about those organizations and people who are already working very hard every day to address them. We still have 4 months of this year to go, and we're going to focus on voting rights and democracy. Not a hot topic, right? Domestic violence, LGBTQIA issues, and immigration and border issues. Stay tuned. The Church Council will consider this fall whether Community Connect should become an ongoing ministry. If we continue into 2027, we hope more people will find a way to participate. It really isn't a heavy lift, and it is rewarding. And you can help with a project, you can serve on one of those teams, donate needed items, make a financial contribution, learn about an issue, or simply show up. Community Connect is an important milestone in our church's long story of service and compassion. We don't just talk about our values, we put them into action. And action is the important word here. Month after month, we are finding meaningful ways to extend the love, hope, and fellowship of this congregation beyond these walls and into our community. And hopefully, we'll get to keep doing that together year after year. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula. Such wonderful work with Community Connect. And now it's time to call up Nancy Garcia, who is going to talk about her history with St. Francis and the work she's been doing with Seeking Shelter Solutions.
I am not a natural leader or a natural speaker. Is that better? Okay. Yeah, not a natural leader or speaker. I found when I first started coming with my husband, I was going to say he wasn't my husband at the time, but when we were dating, that this was a place that you didn't just attend church, and I had not attended a church anywhere for many, many years. It involved action. It had to. It required that you go out into this community and you do something. We got very involved, as many of you know, with originally the IN Project, later on the IN of Southern Arizona, with immigration, helping with asylum seekers. That, not only were we on the board, but it was, for me, pretty much full-time job. And what I found was my passion. I didn't really ever feel like I was allowed a passion. My passion was just trying to make sure I could pay the rent, trying to make sure I could pay my bills and not get into debt. And I've been given the gift of having support enough to where I can indulge my passion. Most of these organizations that we all talk about are pretty much interconnected. You go to meetings, you go to protests, you go to whatever is happening that week, and you see many of the same faces from around the community. I love that, and what I really love is that we're seeing more and newer faces all the time. So with the IN, very quickly, I did all of the buying. I am not a shopper, but I love good deals. So I'm good at finding good deals. So I did all the buying of the food that we were distributing, that we were either cooking, or when COVID came, that we were cooking at home or cooking here and distributing. All the clothing, I definitely had help with that, like Nancy Stevenson back there. We knew all the goodwills and where we could get the best jeans and what we could do with the donations that we had. That's what we were running on. So what I found, and this really spoke to me today with Pastor Michael's commentary and with Deborah's prayer, was that there is a big difference in how we give of ourselves. And I've always had issues with the word charity. I know there are charitable organizations, which is great, but the word charity. And we strove diligently at the IN, and I think we do here, from everything I've seen, to be in solidarity. Not charity, but to be in solidarity with every single person we come in contact with. So after, and I really found that I did a lot of cooking. And At first, when we were getting people in every single day, we get 20, 30, 40 people in. We were a way station. We gave them what they needed and helped them get on their way to their destinations. I wanted them to just rest. Let me take care of you. Let me do. And what I found was that they were as eager to give as we were. They had to be in the kitchen with us. It didn't matter if they just came 2 months or 3 months across from wherever they were coming. This is 35 different countries, over 40,000 people that came through our shelter. And they came, I got whatever anybody needed for different kinds of, of culture and the food they were used to and anything, because all they'd ever gotten was, a frozen burrito, or they'd gotten a package of crackers. And we cooked, and they taught me, and we all sat down together and we ate together. And this is something that Pastor Michael said about his grandmother, and something about cultures, many cultures other than a lot that we grew up with, that are so important now. And that is that we share what we have with everybody. There are many of us that have a lot to share. So what I'm doing now is through Seeking Shelter Solutions, I am doing the buying for Water in the Desert. Joe Moody has done an amazing job in gathering volunteers, not just from our church, but from all over. Dr. Pat's there every week, and filling food bags for people that need them on the street. And it has opened my eyes to some new kinds of incidents where it was very different than working for so many years with asylum seekers. I have just 2 very short little stories. One, this was years ago. I came up to an intersection and there was nobody around. It was not a busy intersection. And there wasn't a car around. I came up to this stop sign and there was a man just sitting on his backpack with his head down. And I wasn't doing this. I didn't have anything with me. I had a couple dollars. And I asked him if he was okay. I rolled my window down. And he didn't look up. And I was worried, and nobody was around. I got out of my car, and I just I said, "Are you all right?" And he was sobbing. He had tears just rolling down his face, and he was so alone. And it was heartbreaking. And I saw beneath him, he did have a little sign, but the only thing it said on it was "lost." And it opened my eyes to some things. The other was a woman who was on the street for a while, not long. You could tell she hadn't been on the street for long. She had a sign that said, "I have 3 kids and I have a job. I'm starting in 3 weeks, but right now I need food. I need to pay my bills. And I saw her a couple of times, and about a month later, I saw her back out on the street with a sign that said, "Thank you. I started my job, I got my first paycheck, and I thank you." And she was out there on the street with a sign saying "thank you." And I think the last thing I want to say is this. When you're out and about and you see people out there with signs, I not only am buying, but I'm distributing now. There is something about looking at people in such a different light. Everybody knows how to spell. They spelled correctly on their signs. And everybody says thank you. They might say, "God bless you," but everybody says thank you. Somewhere along the line, these were kids. These were people's babies. These were people that were loved. These are people that went to school. These are people that have lives. They're no different, I guess, they're but the grace of God, you know. And how do we not see them as equals? They are. So somebody said to me once, how come you're giving these packages that we make, that Joe and her volunteers make? I just buy the stuff for them that has a protein in it. It has a fruit, and often this fruit, this little container of applesauce, I look in the mirror and this is what they take out first. It has body wipes for showers. It has water. It has some kind of a protein. It has Nutrigrain bars. This nuts, sometimes we have protein bars, but it's something. And is it going to help them find shelter? No. But when somebody said to me, but those are just drug addicts that are in that park I'd just been to, and I'm like, but they need to eat too. So, you know, all of us have been through our own experiences, and we've struggled with our own demons, and we've lived our lives. I am absolutely thrilled to be in a position to be able now to give back so much of the love that I have received in my life. Always looking for volunteers, seeking shelter solutions, water in the desert. It's a wonderful program. If you want to be inspired, come and do some distribution. Take some of these bags. We have a couple of bags right now at each entrance or exit. Take a couple of bags with you, and just when you see somebody out there with their sign, hand it to them. See how it makes you feel. You know, this is really for us. It is something, yes, it's, you know, it can be a bright spot in that person's day, but it is far more than that. So I ask anybody that might be interested and willing, speak to Joe for volunteers. Joe's right here. And we need people to help packing. We need to have distributors. So you can come get bags and see what you think.
Thank you so much, Nancy. We often get more than we give. And the next up is Chris Bouchain to talk about Sophia's Circle.
Hello. Well, this group we give back to the community every single second Tuesday by sharing our foods with Coffee Fellowship. But this group is really a group of women who get together and just support each other. We started in 2001, and we have never stopped. It was started by Barb Nelson and Patrika Murphy. And they were just amazing women. And I can see some of you smiling because you know these women. And let me put my glasses on. And our patron saint of animals and in the environment, St. Francis, is our guiding spirit. We meet every second Sunday of the month in Ravenscroft, great place where all the artwork is, at 11 o'clock for about an hour, or maybe a little bit more. And we have a variety of different kinds of programs. Sometimes other people put on, some women, if they want to have any kind of program that they want to put in, they do themselves. And so they contribute also. And we've done stuff such as having in-depth discussions on a quote that we love, or on our mothers, or we have learned how to paint. Joy has taught us how to paint sumie art. We've made sea balls and supported the youth mission trip. And next month, we get to do our animal spirit cards. But the most meaningful time, I think, of this time together is that this is a group of women who come together, and each month they share themselves. They share part of their joys and part of their sorrows. And when they check in, and each woman checks in individually, no one else is allowed to interrupt, which we try and do the best we can do. But we try not to interrupt, because this is sort of it values each person, and it gives and acknowledges their own self-worth. And also, during this time, we have this little chime, and I can't find it anyplace, so it's got to be around, that we ding. And when anybody needs our support, we do the little chime and we raise our hand in solidarity and give blessings to this person so that they can continue going on with their lives. It is a very supportive group, and it is a very fun group. So anybody who would like to join us, please, second Sunday of every month, come to Ravenscroft and be with us.
And we have one last speaker that wants to join us, and then I'll take a 5-minute break. We are running a little overtime, but Al Cox wanted to talk just a moment about Casa Maria.
Good afternoon. You noticed I came up with nothing to read. This is going to be just what I'm going to talk about. I talked about Casa Maria not long ago, but one of the most important things I didn't mention were the volunteers, people who step forward every fourth Saturday as our contribution to the Casa Maria Soup Kitchen. Those of you in the audience who are volunteers or have volunteered, please raise your hands. Now, those of you who have not volunteered, note the people around you, beside you, who have raised their hands. I told you what my experience was about being on the side of that window and how fortunate I felt to be there. I think all of us who go into situations like that have some reaction to it, and it's not always the same. Talk with someone who's volunteered there. Find out what they felt, what they still feel about it. So many people have come up today to the microphone and said wonderful things about all of the different programs our church is involved in. It's wonderful what we do out there. Some of the programs are very, very extensive, very, very hands-on, a lot of work involved. The program that I'm heading now, I took over from Beth Hackery not long ago. I feel that what I do is, when I'm actually going there and working, I'm taking a cup of soup and passing it through that window. It doesn't seem like much, but as I do that, I smile. I give people some sort of a greeting, good morning. As they're moving away, perhaps I say, have a great day. I don't know how much that may help, but it might be the only time they've heard that all week, maybe all month, I don't know. But thinking about something that Pastor Michael said earlier about the young fella that was tossing starfish back into the ocean. That's what we do at Casa Maria. We're doing just a little tiny bit We don't know the ramifications of it. We do know that if we toss something into the water, there are going to be some ripples. Something is going to happen. We can hope that it's something for the good. So I want to, right now, give a very heartfelt thanks to folks who have and continue to volunteer at Casa Maria. The little bit we do, we have no idea how much it helps, but I'm sure it does. Thank you.
Thank you, Al. Okay, I think we all need to get up and stretch our legs. So if anyone wants to go to the restroom, or let's take a 5 minutes. I do want to get back here so we can grill Pastor Michael. No, not really. But stretch your legs. I don't know what food's left, but there is some food. Oh, there's lots of cookies over there. You might want to grab one of those. And we'll start back at 12:35.
Your break is not over, but if you could very kindly ensure that when you are done enjoying all of the many snacks, and please do enjoy the snacks, that you kindly place your trash in any of the trash cans by the front doors, and please help mark out by not leaving them under the chairs. It would be greatly appreciated. Thank you, everybody.
Everybody, please come back in, get a seat. I know I'm rushing you through a break, but we're running out of time, and there's some folks working here today that want to go home. So let's come back and get a chair, and I'm going to turn it over to Joan. So this is Afternoon with Joan. It's such a great career to me.
Okay.
Oh, if you actually filled out a card with a question on it, Paula wants to collect those, so she'll run around the room collecting those now if you happen to throw one out.
Okay. Welcome back. Hope you got something to eat and you can settle into your seat here. We're on to part 3. I'm Joan Curry, and this is Pastor Michael Long. What do? I interview Pastor Michael Long. That's what this is about. I am the lay leader, but that's not, anyway, that is what that is. So I'd like to thank Patricia and also Paula, who was kind of a little mastermind behind this. And if you've never gotten to know Paula, you should do it. She is a treasure. And I learned a lot just by having coffee with her, so I want to do it again. At any rate. Okay, so we're going to get right to it.
Well, let's do it.
All right, okay, so we're going to start off talking a little bit about family.
All right.
Does that sound all right?
That's great.
Okay, you would like to just tell us about your family?
What you want to know?
Well, what would you like to share?
So originally, I am from Oklahoma City. And family for me is still home. So my mom is still there, my dad and his wife, and my daughter, most importantly. And so a lot of my family are still back there. And so I am blessed and grateful to go home at least once a month to see my daughter and my mom and my dad here and there. And so, yeah, so that's family for me. But growing up, I always said it was fun growing up and going to the same church. Going to church because for me, I got to go to church with both sets of grandparents. So my paternal and maternal grandparents. And so I got both always on Sundays with cousins and all the things. And so that was kind of my family. And I think as I've gotten older, I am probably the loner of the family, but that is on purpose. And so I'm okay with that. And I see them on the high days, Christmas and Thanksgiving and those. Well, I haven't been home for Christmas in a while. That's what comes with being pastor. But that is family for me. And so growing up, my friends really became family for me. And so my family is my friends. My friends have now become my family outside of my family. And they were kind of my chosen family before I knew really what chosen family was. And so, yeah, that's kind of my family dynamics. And now me and Dad, we are family, and we are doing life together here in Tucson. And so I think family is good.
Yeah, it can be all different ways, right?
Yeah.
I can totally relate to some of the things that you're talking about there, for sure. Sometimes you talk about Big Mama.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear about Big
and
Mama.
And she's Nana for me. So, my Nana and Pawpaw, my Pawpaw is no longer with us, but They were my my maternal grandparents. And so because I think my mother didn't have the best relationship with her mother, I think I've tried to have a better relationship with my grandparents. And, I think grandparents do the best they can in what they have. They raise their children, right? And so you're just the grandchildren. They can send you back home. But my grandparents were very instrumental in a lot of my life. They took me to school, so I got to see them weekly because my mom worked closer, and so it was just easier for my grandparents to take me to school. And my grandfather was one of those people that if it snowed or if it was raining hard, like she was not driving, and so he was doing all the driving. And so that was my upbringing. Me and my cousins would be at my grandmother's all the time. And so, yeah, that's where I saw family. I learned to fish. Still don't like fruit, so there's some bad experiences there with that. But I, my grandparents on both sides, though I wasn't as close to on my father's side, I would see them often, but it still wasn't that close. I hold my grandparents in very high esteem because she is definitely the praying grandmother. Even if I haven't asked her to pray, I know she's praying. And to see my grandfather be an alcoholic most of his life, to give up drinking, start going to church. I saw my grandfather go back to church in my lifetime. And got very involved. He was audiovisual, and he was doing all the things, and he loved it because that brought him new life and new joy. And I would see my grandfather on Saturday nights with his Bible, reading the Sunday lesson or studying before going to church on Sunday. And that wasn't the case with my mom growing up and her siblings. Like, my papa wasn't that guy. And so to see this person that he became, even his older age, he didn't let age stop him. Even in his retirement, he drove trucks. He had his own dump truck. And so that was his thing. He had 2 heart attacks out there on the truck because he just couldn't give it up. And for him, if I stop moving, then it's all over. And so that was his mentality. And so, yeah, between both of him and my grandmother, yeah, they were, I would say he was probably the backbone for sure of our family. I think now that he's gone, it saddens me a little bit because we don't do those family things. And so it really showed me he was the glue for us. But that's okay. I think about him often. And he is a part of my ancestors that I venerate often. I thank my papa often. Yeah.
Awesome. Very cool. So here's a big one.
Okay.
All right. So who has had the greatest influence on your life?
Ooh.
He didn't get the questions ahead of time.
I did not. I would probably say my mom, to be honest. And when she comes, you all will meet her. She is a very no-nonsense type of gal. I would say she's always been a fighter in her own right. And so to see her where she is today, earlier this year, she had open heart surgery, and to see your mom in a situation where there's really nothing you can do but be there. But she is my strength. I would say she is my backbone, truly. She is my why outside of my daughter, because I seen her when my dad worked 2 jobs and was rarely home. I seen her keep home. I seen her take me everywhere. So I was a mama's boy naturally, and because that was the parent I saw the most, and that's who I saw strength from. Even when family wasn't the best, she was still very positive and still very upbeat, and a hard worker. I think I get some of that, at least from both parents, but definitely from my mom. So she would probably be my biggest example.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
We will lighten it up just a little bit now, okay? Give you a little break.
All right.
All right. So I'm really curious about this one. So what is your favorite meal?
I had to look at Dad. because this is where we struggle every day. What do you want for dinner? I don't know. What do you want for dinner? I would say probably for me, I love Mexican food. I always have. And so I would just put that at the top. Anything Mexican for me, I'm in.
Okay.
I'm in.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
easy. Take notes.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
And vegan. You
Yeah,
know, I
well,
am vegan, so
yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
But you can bring me some fish too. I'll eat that too, okay? I'll eat that too.
Awesome. How about dessert?
Ooh, I'm not a big dessert eater.
Nothing at all?
The what? I'm not a big dessert guy. And I know. That's just not my thing. But, you know, a good cheesecake every now and again, I'm great. Yeah, but maybe some ice cream here and there. But outside of that, I'm good. I don't want none of that.
No watermelon. No. Fruit. No fruit,
No
right?
fruit at all.
No fruit. Yep.
No.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, so how about television show?
Television shows. What am I binging right now? Let's see, SWAT. So anything like that, anything doctor related. So The Good Doctor, or The Resident, or ER at the time. I can't do Grey's Anatomy. I know. But 25 seasons, come on now. Like, when is enough? Outside of that, I'm probably watching some anime, something. That's probably more so on my TV more than anything, to be honest. Huh? Or RuPaul's Drag Race is another one that I'm watching. Yeah, so I vary. I'm all over the place.
Some variety.
The
Definitely
variety.
some variety.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, how about music?
Music. Right now, normally, probably R&B. I love rap. Soul, gospel, of course. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. How about a hobby?
Hobby. I'm a crafter.
Okay.
So I make custom rugs. That is one of my hobbies that I do. I haven't done it in a while since we moved, but I'm getting that itch, so I know it's time to start creating some things. Let's see, what else? Hobbies. I love video games. I love to read. I read often. If not an audiobook, I'm reading something.
What are you reading?
Right now, I am reading, it's a series called The Secret World of Maggie Gray. I love fantasy and dark academia. And so it is right up my alley. So I'm now on book 5. And I feel like I'm devouring these books, but which is great because I often love to go to another place in my mind. I think the world is hard enough sometimes to read sometimes I just don't want to read about slavery just because I know what that feels like, even not being a slave. And so it's hard for me sometimes to read those stories just because I just want something else. And so I think fantasy for me takes me somewhere else, and I can just see how other people live or see where these authors are coming from when they're writing these stories. I think that shows us even more that we can learn from just different people. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And what's the latest movie you've seen?
The latest movie, the new Spider-Man.
All right. There you go. Okay, that's
Yeah.
an easy one.
That's me and Corey's thing. So me and my daughter, we do movies,
Yeah.
and we take a movie selfie every time. That's just our thing. And so, yeah, Spider-Man was our last movie.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Me too.
Yeah.
Morning person or night owl?
Morning.
Ooh, okay. Okay. Beach or mountains?
Probably beach. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there's just a lot of sand here.
I know.
It's just the water's a long way
Right?
away.
But I'm learning mountains here. I'm learning mountains by being in Arizona. I'm learning mountains.
Okay, here's one for you.
Okay.
What are you surprisingly bad at?
Ooh, a lot of things. Ooh, that is good. What am I surprisingly bad at?
You already have the job.
You know, probably what I get on to my daughter about all the time, it's probably why I get on to her all the time, is because I'm just bad at it. Allowing people to tell me things without me trying to decide, oh, maybe they're going to think.
Right.
I have to do better about allowing people to tell me how they feel without coming up with an answer myself. So I'm probably, and I want to be so good at that, but that gets me. That still stumps me. We working through that in therapy. Amen.
Well, that's,
Yeah.
You're not alone.
Yeah.
So what is a hidden talent people don't know about you?
Ooh, that's good.
That you want to share?
I do abstract painting that probably people don't know, and I probably don't do enough of it, but that is a joy. And so me and Daz actually did that the other night. We set up painting, and we did our own paint and sip at home, and we just began to just create. And so probably painting for me is probably one of those that I don't talk about often, or if at all, to be honest.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very creative. Now it's not a secret, right?
Now it's not a secret, right?
I'm sure Joy will set you up in Ravenscroft. Oh my goodness.
You can't
Okay.
tell a designer you design.
What's something you've always wanted to learn?
Believe it or not, I want to be an amazing storyteller. I know, but I want to be an amazing storyteller, and I feel like I am getting better because it is something I work at constantly. So that is something I truly am practicing over, and I study and I do all those things. But I want to, if there's anything like when I'm gone and people have any last words, Michael was an amazing storyteller. Like, I want to be an amazing storyteller. I think that comes from growing up, I wasn't the best writer, and so I felt like my writing was never good enough. And he's still my best friend, and I love him to death, and he knows this, because he is an amazing writer. Like, that is what he does. He does it. And I remember one time I wrote something, he ripped that thing to shreds. I mean, if he had a red pen, it was red marks everywhere. And that crushed me. Oh my gosh, that crushed me. And still today, that still haunts me a little bit. My writing is a whole lot better, amen. But I think from that, I've always wanted to be a good storyteller.
I think you're on the way.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
So how do you recharge after a busy week?
I sleep. I nap. That is one of them. And then I read. Reading is definitely a recharge for me. It's anything, especially if you come into my office now to hear instrumental music playing. I love to read to that. I think sometimes Daz is like, how can you read, listen to music, and have the TV going at the same time? But for me, it's the quiet that is very distracting. And when it's so many things, I can actually focus. It's so weird, I know. But that is, yeah. But that's been a practice. Like, I've had to learn how to do that because resting, I've always felt guilty to rest. Am I doing enough? Do I even have the time to rest right now? Should I be doing something in this moment of rest? So it's taken me a while to even get to a place to say, I actually want to take a nap, you know? But that is my recharge. I am a true extrovert, I promise. But once I'm off. Like, I have to go away and recharge. So, yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, naps are good.
They're great.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. What helps you stay grounded?
Ooh. My sneakers. People. Because I tell God all the time, I love God and I love God's people. And so, even hearing about water in the desert, like I had tears in my eyes over there, like people. I'm an empath, so I feel everything, even when I don't want to. So you catch me on a good day watching a good movie, I'm in shambles, okay? Like, because I feel all of that, and please don't let it be anything with a father and a daughter. I'm no good, but people, because I know what it's like to not have support and people in your corner, and you feel like you're on this island alone having to figure it out. And so that's what I think keeps me grounded, and especially in ministry, is how do I serve people, and how do I show up for people, and knowing my limitations, and knowing I can't solve everything, because that's not what I'm here to do, but how can I show up and just be a presence?
Right?
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
That kind of goes into this next question,
Okay.
which is, what's a place where you feel closest to God?
Ooh, that's good. Really in nature, to be honest. When it gets cooler, I'll be a lot outside on my back patio. I love to read outside. I love to just be outside in nature. When I lived in Oklahoma, you probably found me in my backyard just sitting till all hours of the night, just because I love to be outside. Because I feel that's in nature where I get to hear God the clearest, is in nature. I think I told a story for our last Saving Jesus. I was in San Francisco and I went to Muir Woods, and I got to be with the Redwoods. And it was the first time silence, man, slapped me like I had never been slapped before, because it was truly the first time to be in a space where there was no sound. And I had never experienced anything like that before. But it was in that silence that I truly felt I heard the voice of God. Like I heard the Spirit speak to me and love on me in ways I had never experienced before. And so, yeah, it is nature. It is that for me. It's very interesting now that that's developed in my as I'm getting older, but probably nature for sure.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, we're going to lighten it up a little bit
right.
more, all right? Okay, so one word answers, if possible.
All right.
All right, okay. You guys can all register this too, see what you think. Sweet or salty?
Ooh, salty.
Salty, all right. Pizza or tacos?
Tacos.
Tacos. Now here's a hard one for me. Early sunrise or sunset?
You know, Arizona sunsets are amazing. I'm going to say sunsets because I ain't been up early enough. Maybe I have, but I ain't been up early enough to see the sunrise. So, yeah.
Gotcha. I think I know the answer to this one. Paper books or Kindle?
I'm a little both. Because sometimes I need that book now. And so Kindle gives me that book now.
Yeah.
But I will buy a book that I have bought on Kindle. I will buy the physical copy.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
Gotcha. All right. I've done that too.
Yep.
Chocolate or vanilla?
Vanilla.
All right. Summer or winter?
Summer. I hate
Summer.
to be cold.
Oh, well, you won't be cold here.
Now, I love it cold in my house, but I hate to be cold. That is just not, I hate winter for that. I can't.
I'm kind of with you on that, actually. Pen or pencil?
Pencil.
Phone call or text?
Text me.
Text, all right. Got it. Morning sermon writing or late night inspiration?
You know, it's a little bit of both. The Holy Spirit does what she wants to do. So there's no telling what would happen. Yeah.
Fair enough. Without getting theological,
Okay.
all right, these are questions about ministry. So what drew you into ministry?
It was a calling.
Yeah.
Because I ran for a very long time. Because how could anybody want me to be somebody's pastor?
We do.
Thank you. But, you know, growing up, that wasn't, you know, and especially at the time I truly felt called was definitely around the time I was truly still trying to figure out my sexuality and what that looked like. And so, you know, growing up in the black church, you know, being queer was just not a thing. Like that wasn't, no, that was the ultimate sin. That's the one that they prayed it away. You went to all the class, you know, all the things, or your family just swept it under the rug and you really didn't exist, you know, in that. And so I grew up hearing that, hellfire and brimstone. You know, me and my best friend still ask ourselves the question, why did we stay in those churches? Like, why were we there? But it was just who we were. Like, that was just what we had. And so I ran for a long time until one day I just couldn't anymore. That's how I got into ministry.
Kind of kicking and screaming a little bit.
A little bit. But I was always singing, right? I was always singing in someone's choir. I was a junior usher. You know, they say junior usher because I wasn't big yet. Junior usher. I felt like I did all the things in the church because I love church. I did. So I had no problem. I wasn't one of those children my mom had to come in with a belt and say, get up, it's time to go to church. Like, I was ready, you know, especially Vacation Bible School and all the things. So I was there. So church has really just been in my DNA for as long as I can remember.
Gotcha. Yeah, can understand that. So what keeps you excited about ministry today?
That just because those 66 books are in that book, God is still writing.
All right. Good answer.
Yeah. And I'm excited to see what the church looks like post-COVID. Because I think COVID taught us a lot about the institution and about church. And I believe COVID pulled the curtains open to the church. And for some, very negative, for others in a positive way. But I think overall it was a good thing. And so I'm excited to see where the church, what's the next iteration of the church? Because we know it's changing and we know it's shifting yet again. And so I'm excited to see what the Spirit does in this new iteration.
Yeah. Okay. Just have a few more questions. So in case you're wondering, what has encouraged you most during your first month with us? Now we're going to get kind of local, so.
You all right? What has encouraged me the most? Coffee. Honestly, I'm excited to see where St. Francis goes. Like, I'm excited to see how we grow. And I know growth is scary. And I know we have, you know, people who are, you know, change is hard. But I'm excited. I think that's really been the driving force for me, just to see as a community how we grow and what we look like a year from now, and what steps we've truly taken to hear those stories, to know our beginnings, to know that Spirit is still alive and well in here. Just the iterations just look different now. So I'm excited to see what those new iterations look like for us. That's what gets me hope every day. Every time I walk into the office and I see the staff, to see I'm changing them as well. So they may not know. You may have gotten some demands. You're like, what? That's from me. Because I think that it's one starts with me, but two starts with them as well. And so I want the staff and all of us to change and grow. And so I'm super excited to see what happens. Yeah.
Awesome. Fantastic. So I'll probe it a little bit more.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So what have you learned about our congregation that has delighted you?
Oh man, you are loving people. You are welcoming people. I truly felt that and feel that on a regular basis. I want you all to keep showing up doing that. Keep loving on people, right? Like I said before, I want people leaving saying, man, them hugs, they hugged me to death. Like, I just couldn't, right? And with consent, but, because you got to throw that out there, with consent. But that is truly special to me, to be in a place, and even to come from Dayspring, so I have to say that as well. I believe the Lord has done an amazing thing in my life, sending me to Arizona, period. Because I found life in the desert. And leaving Oklahoma was not the easiest, nor was it without its painful moments. Because those are some hard, painful moments to get to this moment that I get to sit in front of you all. And I probably haven't even scratched the surface in those and what that really was like. And we got time to get into all those stories. But I truly found life in the desert. Like, I found it in the places that I did not think I would find it. And so you all are a part of that story. You welcomed me and Daz, as we walked in here, and you've loved on us. And so for that, I'm excited. And I am very grateful and thankful, because I feel all of that. Whether you all know it or not, I feel every bit of it. And I just want us to go together. As you all challenge me, I want to challenge you all, because we're going somewhere. So again, that comes with its bumps and bruises, and we gonna make mistakes, and I won't always have the right answers. But what I want you all to know is I'm gonna do my best to see you and hear you and meet you where you are, because that's just who I am at the end of the day.
Awesome. So I have one final question.
All right.
But I wanted to ask Paula if you have any.
We got
okay.
one.
All right. Okay. Question from the.
Where do I like to go on a vacation? I would love to go back to Japan. Okay. We went last year, and I'm ready to go back again. But we have other trips. I think next year, South Africa is on our list. And of course, we got to find some beaches somewhere. But yeah, so I would say South Africa for now.
South Africa has plenty of beaches.
Hey, there you go. There it is.
Awesome.
We can knock two of them off right there.
Okay. If there is one hope you have for our congregation over the next year, what would it be?
One hope. Man, that's a good one. I feel like I have a lot of hopes, but one hope.
You can make two if you like.
Can it be a vision? I'm going to give you a vision. I'm excited to see this place busting at the seams with radical believers who are truly the walking, talking Jesuses that we need to see. I want us to get to a place to where we have to create another whole service, even outside of 5 o'clock, because I want 5 o'clock to be full as well. So I want y'all to hear that. I want 5 o'clock to be busting at the seams as well. But that is my hope, my vision, and my dream, is that everyone gets to experience what I get to experience. And the visitors who come, who have experienced and who continue to come back because they found something that they didn't even know they may have been looking for, and they saw it here. And so I want that very badly, because we have a lot to offer. I've heard the history. And we were breaking molds and being rebels and being rebellious, and being reckless and taking risk. I want us to continue to take risk and continue believing that the Spirit is moving and she is doing something. Shar is not the only one that's feeling it, I know, because the Spirit is moving. And so for me, that is just all indication that I am out the way and the Spirit is doing what she's supposed to be doing. And so through that, I want to see this place booming, just like it was back in the day. And I'm talking about generationally, culturally, ethnicities. I want it all here because we can do that, because that's who we are. And so I want us to live into that, and I want it to become our reality. I don't even have a new vision nor mission for us. I want us to live into the vision and mission that we already have, because that's who we are. And so now we just get to see a new iteration of that vision and mission. And so that's my hope, that's my dream, that's my vision. We got an amen. You know, that's where I'm at. Yeah. And I'm ready to shake some things up, not only in Tucson, but in the foothills, right? Like, I'm truly ready. Neighborhoods to the south. Listen, all of them. That's why I said Tucson too. I want to take over Tucson. Because I think people need to hear what we have to say, and because I feel more people need places like this. More people need places, even in back in Tempe, need places like Dayspring. They need places where people can come, as I call it, the oasis in the desert, where people can come and find rest. Because there are so many people who have been hurt and are hurting because of religious institutions. And I don't just want us to be just another religious institution just because we're United Methodists. But I really want us to be a church that is about the work and the mission, and that becomes our focus. It's the people. Yeah. It's truly what it's about. It's the people.
Amen.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you for sharing with yourself with us today, and this is an ongoing conversation.
For sure.
If you guys have those cards and you need to write something on it, something you thought about, you can give them to Paula or me, and we would, give them to you.
Awesome.
More hard questions for you to answer.
I love it.
Yes, I think there's one person.
Uh-oh.
Go ahead.
You can stop me whenever when you're done with me. I look out here and I see a beautiful sky and just a beautiful thing right there in front of us. And I know you have some talent that God graced you with. Not everybody gets that. They think they get it, but they don't get it. And you know you get it. So I think you should share some of that. I think the congregation would love it. No, don't.
In other words, sing.
Sing. Did I put you on the spot?
Of course. You asked a singer to sing, Let's see. I need the old, I need thee. Every hour, I need thee. Bless me now, my gentle Savior. I've come to thee.
Thank you, Pastor Michael. And thank you, Joan and Paula Van Ness and everybody else that put on the town hall today. And thank you all for staying. I know we went a little over time, but I think it was worth it, don't we? Okay, I think I've just asked Pastor Michael to close us out with a prayer.
Sure. Before I do that, I have one last question, and I'll close this out with prayer. Why United Methodist? United Methodist found me, to be honest, and I say that in all sincerity. I had some time in a cult, Christian cult. I didn't know until I got out of there. And I was at another church healing, and a friend of mine said, hey, I need you to come lead worship because I don't do that. That's what you do. And so I did. And so I took my family and we went to this church, and I had no idea it was United Methodist. I just thought we was having great church, and it felt so good. And that's how I became United Methodist, to be honest. Yep, that's exactly what happened. And I'm so grateful United Methodist found me, truly. All right, let us pray. Oh, gracious and loving God, we thank you for our time together. We give you praise for what is to come. We say thank you for giving us the example of what it means to be a servant leader. As we become a people that are about towels and basins and water, we want to make sure that the feet that we wash and we come up to are feet that know that we love them and we care for them. Sometimes our posture has to be a little lower than what the status quo would think would be in leadership, but this is who you've called us to be. And so for that, we say thank you. Thank you for our past. Thank you for our history. But most importantly, thank you for our future that is built on the foundation that set us apart so long ago, that continues to set us apart as we move forward into being all that we can be for this community, this city, and the world at large. We love you and we thank you. Be with each and every one of us as we travel home, loud for traveling graces and mercy. We love you and we thank you. Amen. Thank you. Thank you.